Today's episode of The Walk Show is brought to you in part by Jam Spots. Established in 1989, that's over 30 years, Jam Spots has provided safe and accessible spaces for musicians to create and collaborate. They have hourly, weekly, and monthly rentals to suit your needs. And here's the thing, these rooms rent out at artist-friendly rates. Cause let's face it, we can't all be John Bon Jovi. The best part about Jam Spots is its rich history in the Guelph music scene. It truly is a big part of the local scene and even has a music community within itself. And I should know, almost every band I've ever been a part of has had a room with Jam Spots. That's a ton of rehearsals, photo shoots, and even a music video we shot there with A Rise and Ruin. If you're looking for a space within our music community, check out jamspots.com. That's JAMSPOTS.com. Jam Spots. Make some noise! Howdy, folks. Welcome to The Walk Show, podcasting on all major platforms and broadcasting on Hypernova Radio. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky. And if you want to support the show with your dollars, you can subscribe over on Patreon for $5 a month. I'm Derek Prince-Cox, and I hope you're all keeping well. Lots going on here. I have a couple of gigs this week, one drumming for Apricity in Toronto, and one doing sound at the Red Papaya in Guelph. The calendar's really starting to fill out nicely. For all of my upcoming dates, check out DerekPrinceCox.com, and if you happen to be in the area of any of them, come out and say hi. I'm all over the map these days. There should also be some more American dates coming down the pike, too. I just don't think I can get into the details of those quite yet. I reached out to you on the Walk Show socials to ask you what your favorite decade for pop culture is. And here's what you had to say.
Now it's time to check that mail. I'm gonna check that mail good. Yeah, check that mail.
From John McGonigal of Jam VP. Hey, duder. John says, has to be the 70s for me. TV shows like The Muppets, $6 Million Man, Wonder Woman, Sesame Street, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Mork and Mindy, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Dukes of Hazzard, WKRP, Three's Company, Chips, Incredible Hulk, Saturday Night Live, Black Sheep, Squadron, and so many more. That was quite a lot though, dude. Movies like Star Wars, Superman, Saturday Night Fever, Rocky Horror, Apocalypse Now, Alien, and again, so many more, all groundbreaking shows. Art and imagination was allowed to happen. Chances were taken, not to mention showing the wild fashion of the time and the music that went with it. So many hit shows, identifiable with their opening songs for only a few notes, sayings that carry on into today. This all trickled into the 80s, which was a mishmash of disco still hanging on, along with the disco sucks graffiti on buildings or written on covers of books in school. Maybe because of my age, but it seems like there were more cultural events back then than there is now. Not saying stuff isn't happening now, but just seems like there were many more standout individual events at the time. Those TV shows I mentioned above were all iconic, and I didn't even mention all of them, just the ones I really enjoyed. Which was also time for family. I watched many of those shows along with my mom. Oh, and if you missed a show, too bad for you, because you couldn't tape it back then, so you really felt like you were missing out on something, making many shows a must-watch, so you could talk about it the next day with friends. Yeah, excellent answer, dude. Good call. From Jacob Romu of Angel Dust. Hey, buddy. Jacob says, the 50s, the invention of the concept of the teenager as a rebellious youth who listens to rock and roll, the rise of the electric guitar. Not that I sit and listen to doo-wop all day, but the ramifications are immense. Yeah, both great answers. And this is a really tough question to answer. But I think for me, I have to go with the 80s. I mean, I was born in 82, so I'm sure a lot of it's nostalgia, but it's definitely how I'm feeling these days. Best decade for horror movies, in my opinion. Everything was over the top and really imaginative. A lot of boundaries were being pushed in pop culture, from music production to special effects in movies. And for the record, I'm not a huge fan of 80s music production, but the fact that they were trying a ton of new things was really cool. The other thing I would note, and I've said this on the show a bunch of times, but a lot of the poppier music still had a real emphasis on musicianship. Just think of a band like Tears for Fears. Anyway, that's what I'm going with for today. As always, thank you so much for your participation. If you aren't writing in and you want to get in on the action, when you see a listener question pop up on the Walk Show socials, leave your answers in the comments or email them to thewalkshow@gmail.com. On that note, let's do today's Double Feature Preacher.
The Double Feature Preacher is brought to you by Planet Bean Coffee.
Woo, that is a tasty f***ing brew.
And by The Walk Show.
Today's music feature is Too Much for Two by Guelph's own The Lizard People. This track dropped back in April, actually April 1st, I believe. Too Much for Two is another alternative rock banger from The Lizard People. There's something extremely 90s about this band, and I absolutely love it. It's great to see a Guelph band putting out cool music consistently. Shout out to guitarist vocalist Phil Conlon for sending me this track, and for sharing The Lizard People's music with The Walk Show for over a year now. Crazy how time flies. You can support The Lizard People by checking out thelizardpeopleband.com and be sure to give them a follow on the socials. Today's Planet Bean feature is their light Sumatran single origin roast. From the Indonesian island of Sumatra, this is a delicious roast with strawberry acidity, a juicy body, and a cocoa finish. It's a lot less bold than many of the Planet Bean coffees I've tried so far, but it still has the complexity and sophistication that sets Planet Bean apart from its competitors. Planet Bean Coffee is Guelph's coffee company, having roasted fair trade and organic coffee since 1997. Check out what they're up to, get a list of locations and a list of vendors at planetbeancoffee.com. Most importantly, support Planet Bean with your dollars. You'll be glad you did. Oh, and when you do, if you want to help out The Walk Show, please let them know that I sent you.
Stick around to the end of the podcast to hear the full song from today's Double Feature Preacher artist.
For this episode, I had a conversation with Mike Jacobs and Tyler Rzemek of Buffalo's Own On the Cinder. I met these guys in Kitchener at Shortfinger Brewing. I did sound for a gig they played for Pink Lemonade, and just really good dudes, killer band. We had a great chat, and I hope you dig it. So let's get into it. And we are rolling. This may or may not be round two, but I am here today with Mike Jacobs and Tyler Rzemek of On the Cinder. Thanks so much for making time for the show, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. We're moving. We have abandoned our previous estate, and I live in an upper now, so this is weird.
Oh, fancy. Moving on up, Ty.
Literally. This couch is getting back to earth level one way. It's awful.
Yeah. Did you keep the couch from Noiseland?
Half of it.
Oh, the good half, I hope. Not the peed on side.
Not the peed on side, no.
Good.
Oh, that's awesome. Peed on side. Peed on couch. I feel like there's something we got to talk about right there.
No, that's okay. But the peed on side was the better side, because the other, it's an L couch, and one side was busted in the back. Did you get the busted back or the peed on?
No, the busted back was launched out of the back of the U-Haul at tremendous speed.
I guess everybody has a pee couch story. I don't know. You know what? And full disclosure, I'm just gonna say it. So I used to drink a lot, and I would black out and pee in all kinds of crazy places. And I think the craziest place was my buddy's fridge.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I don't drink anymore, so.
Yeah, me neither.
I hope it doesn't bother you that I am. There's a lot of rum in this Coke.
Dude, if I could, I would, but yeah, I just can't handle it like a fucking grown up, so I don't.
Shit, you saw me in some kind of way in Kitchener.
Dude, I didn't notice that you were like shithoused, were you?
Oh, that's always how it goes. I'm exactly the same until I tell someone, dude, I'm fucking drunk.
You rolled into that show. We played like a matinee in Kitchener, and it was, I don't think there was a sober moment of your day. Like, I remember being kind of stoned on the ride home, and you were just still going from the night before. And we played 3 shows in 3 nights, and we were going home, and it's like, man, Ty's just rolling. But I was too good.
I believe that was when I said I have no intent to be sober in the next 36 hours.
Dude, you took your shirt off mid-set, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Actually, if you want to go back to that for just a moment.
Yeah.
So I took my shirt off during our set while it was snowing, and
outside
in true Buffalo fandom, I was really trying to pump up the home crowd, try to get the people who were there a little bit more riled up, a little gassed, and like the thirds, like just long enough so that the cold could really like penetrate my bones, was when we had to play the song where I had to do like prolonged blast beats. And I was like, oh shit, I like can't do this. I literally cannot move my joints fast enough to do this. So I just suffered.
Yeah. And then you played Past, Present, No Future so fast that it actually turned it into this very bouncy, dancey song, which actually really won the crowd over in a weird way. Like, people were like side dancing and jumping around, and maybe it was because it was like 0 degrees Celsius, but they were moving, and it was like a disco beat. I don't know what the hell you did, but stayed together, and the song happened. It was really fun.
Dude, I love that you guys know what Celsius is, man. Because I, as a Canadian, have no fucking idea what Fahrenheit is.
It's just more. It's just more.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I know about it. Yeah, it's just a bigger number. But still just as fucking cold on the cold days. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Where is it? Links up at like minus 60? It's like the same.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at that point, like, there's like
You're
a
just
nuclear
dead.
holocaust or something. So, I don't know. But yeah, so Tyler, you just moved?
Yeah, so we used to have back in Buffalo for many years. I think three or four good running years. We ran a house venue called the Noiseland Arcade. Had some very, very crazy shows go down there. We've actually been doing, so while that was running, that was we had functionally run a house venue in Buffalo for like 8 years in a row. So we were doing the original iteration of it was Flower House, which started in 2013.
I think our first show was like 2012, but like we didn't play it. I think
I remember all the details of it. Like Valona threw it.
Yeah. Wow.
Valona threw it. That band that didn't have a name was asking for like a $300 guarantee in a basement. Wild shit. And then we were like, okay, no more outside promoters. That was too dumb.
Yeah. I remember she asked us how much the room cost was, and we were like, we live here. I mean, you can't pay our rent. And then like 10 people came to the show, and it was weird. But hey, she gave it a college try, literally, because we were in the University Heights.
Yeah, I mean, after that, it did get pretty stupid. Like in terms of the shows getting way too big. We had a great relationship with other houses in the area in the like Buffalo University Heights. It was the Logan Noonan and the guys Troy from the Turnaround, Matt Cox, Tommy Hawk, several other people from Northrop, which didn't have a clever name. The people from Hoyt Street, Selena, and everyone, and then us. And we just they had already been doing it for a while. And then we just showed up, and we were already going to their shows, and we were like, how can we destroy our house? How about we have 75 people show up and drink? Oh man, I gotta share the picture with you, because it just came up on my Now and Then bullshit on Facebook, where it was I don't think it was the last Flower House show, but I think it was a tour kickoff that we had, where it was me and Eli, who are both 6'3", standing next to a tower of 30 packs that's taller than both of us. And we had to get more.
Yeah.
Dude, that rules.
Yeah.
So it was like a venue house. And I thought I saw that name pop up on your Bandcamp. Did you guys record there too?
So everything that we do goes through Flower House Studios, which is the studio that Jay was running for a bunch of bands in Buffalo. Shambles records there, or did, because now the studio is sort of defunct because it was running out of the attic of Noiseland Arcade, previously running out of the attic of Flower House, and then the very, very janky attic of Treehouse, which was the second iteration of our run of house shows. We don't talk about Treehouse. That was sort of a downturn. It was weird living on the west side. Our neighbors hated us.
The dark days.
Not the darkest.
Yeah.
Was that a pup reference? Because we're on a Canadian podcast.
Oh, no, but Zing, I guess.
Yes. Also, Pup Take Us on tour.
That rules.
And it's become like a sort of low-key joke in the band that is like, what is the goal? And the goal is to become Pup and act like I don't know nobody.
So you guys are still like in the Buffalo area, but just moved from the venue house?
Yeah. We had worn out our welcome there, to say the least. We hadn't been doing shows there for about 4 years, probably. We lived there forever, and we found out that you can accumulate a lot of shit in 7 years. So like currently, today actually was the last trash pickup, which was 8 contractor bags and 3 full trash bins. And we were like, that's it. And it was the 3rd time that we had done that.
Wow.
We had a pool table. The pool table is no more.
Oh no, that's too bad. Did you keep any of it? Any parts of it?
Oh yes, I got the balls that I bought just off screen in this convenient box.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can always, well, I don't want to say always, but you can sometimes find a deal on a pool table. I mean, and if you got the cues and the balls and all that stuff, you're good to go.
Oh, that table was free as shit. We got it the same way that we were hoping someone would take it off of our hands. Somebody in a weird like upper loft apartment had it, and they were like, "We are moving, and they're going to charge us $500 to get the pool table out. So if you want it, please take it. Otherwise, we're going to have to destroy it."
Yeah, it's
so
like,
we took.
You see that with like pianos too, like a lot of stuff like that. Like if you're willing to haul it, then you can have it. It's just a question of what kind of shape it's in, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, never buy a piano. There's a million that are available.
The pool table is really like an icon of the house venue because all along the outer rail was every band's sticker that had ever played there.
Talking about things that we kept.
Yeah. So like, you walk into that house and most people would be in the basement for the show, and there was a bar down there, and Jay would do sound with a speaker and actually had monitors. And
Tim kept an entire side of the pool table.
Wow. That's crazy.
So that's gonna get mounted in the new house.
Very cool.
Sweet. And yeah, to the listeners, Tyler just brought a side of the pool table with a bunch of tons of band stickers on it, which, yeah, I mean, that's history right there, man. I mean, like it reminds me of my jam space. I've been in the same building for, oh God, like 25 years pretty much. But I've been in a bunch of different rooms, and so we have loaded up like so many doors in that building with all these old band stickers. And yeah, they're still there. Like nobody peeled them off, which is pretty cool.
We now also have a jam space for the first time ever.
Is it nice having like a secondary place to go, so it's not like, someone's trying to wake up and someone else is like riffing on bass or guitar or whatever? Like, is it nice to have a separate place?
No, I used to walk downstairs and play drums whenever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah.
To be fair, now I just have to drive down the street. But yeah. No, it was nice to be able to just sit, like, know that it was always like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you don't really think of it as being a convenience until it's not a convenience.
Yeah, I didn't even think about like what we would do for practicing until like you guys had been in the process of moving, and I was like, oh fuck, our whole operation is gonna have to change now, and we're gonna have to like do like pro band stuff, find a practice space. That's it's been a weird thing to get my head around, but it will probably help our posture though. Jay and I, when we're playing guitar, usually we'd like, we're in a basement and there's rails and there's like posts everywhere.
Well,
so I feel like I'd always be like kind of crouched down so I didn't hit my head. So maybe we'll stand upright finally. If this place has like, a foot more of clearance, that'd be great.
As we were like walking around cleaning stuff out, I had that exact thought. I was like, oh my God, I'm so trained to like keep my head down that the idea of just like opening a door and walking into a regular sized room, I don't know how to handle that. I feel like I'm going to duck on like principle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We've taken a little break, but we'll be like gearing up we're playing Camp Pennsylvania in June, and then we're doing a UK tour in July. So we like once June hits, we'll start rehearsing and putting the wheels back on the bus to get moving.
That's awesome. And you guys have been to Europe before, right?
No, this is our first time.
Oh yeah.
But we've come up to Canada a bunch, and we've toured the States a ton, like relentlessly doing like national tours. And it's the first time. Pretty exciting. It's the same thing we've ever done, DIY touring and going through connections. Just got to take a flight, and everyone will speak with a funny accent, so it'll be fun.
Well, hey,
I actually got some anxiety today about driving on the right, or driving on the left rather. I was like, oh shit,
that would fuck me up, man. No question.
I got a little nervous for like the first time. I was like, man, I'm gonna kill someone.
You get used to it. You get used to it really quick because other cars will be coming at you, and then you'll realize you don't want to do that again. So you go where other cars are. That'll help.
Maybe you got to do like the thing you did when you first started driving at home. Is just like hit a Walmart parking lot or something, and just 10 and 2, and just get used to it.
Flip donuts in my Nissan Altima.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about being in the States though. Like as a Canadian, man, it's you guys got it made in terms of like markets, right? You guys can drive in any area and end up in a sweet market, and Buffalo in and of itself has had some iconic bands, right?
Oh, yeah.
Iconic bands, depending on what genre of music you're coming from.
Well,
There's something for everybody from Buffalo. Definitely.
I mean, the fucking Goo Goo Dolls, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be a punk band.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, obviously Cannibal Corpse too, right? Like,
Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't matter what genre. There is probably an iconic, like Benny the Butcher, if you're into hip hop, like was blowing up for a while. Cannibal Corpse, you're into the very, very heavy. Snapcase,
yeah,
Every Time I Die.
Yeah. Every Time I Die is, even though Every Time I Die is broken up, they're still like the biggest band in Buffalo. Like the two variations of the band, Many Eyes and Better Lovers, they like both were able to just adopt the Every Time I Die crowd. I've not heard any deviation. I've never heard like people chose sides. Maybe they did about the personal reasons the band broke up, but like both bands have immense draws. Like every show sells out like crazy. They play the biggest venue in town. Let's see. For jazz, Chuck Mangione is from Rochester, New York, my hometown.
No way.
Yeah, I only know him from King of the Hill, but
yeah, me too, man. But I was just watching King of the Hill. That's hilarious.
Weirdly featured.
it is weird, like the way he's in that show for sure. Well, in Snapcase, I mean, that was the first band that got me into like hardcore. I think them and Strife. That's and that was a long time ago, man.
As a fellow drummer, Snapcase drummer's snare drum is like the craziest snare drum I've ever heard.
I love it, man. But I mean, I'm old, so I came up in, piccolo snare 90s land. So it is a crazy snare, but so many bands had that kind of piccolo snare back then that
dude, when I was a kid, that's all I wanted was a piccolo snare.
Yeah.
My drum teacher, Jason Bauer, was like, "You don't want that." I was like, "No, dude, all my favorite dudes use it." And he's like, listen, you don't want it. You're not, 10 years from now, you're going to be really upset that you had it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, I feel like we're kind of post piccolo snare drum shame days though, right? There was definitely a long time where you would kind of go like, yeah, I used to have one. Or you just outright lie and be like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've always been into marching snares.
I was going to say, that's the crazy thing, is that it's really like reverted, where now like the cool shit is the super deep snares, the like 8-inch deep, like the Joey Jordison like signature snare, I think was the first one that was like wildly available and affordable. And it's like a 13 by 8. It looks ridiculous. It's just a tube. It's basically like it's almost like a 13-inch tom with how deep it is, but it's just got snare wires on the bottom.
Well, and the thing I like about that snare is you can tell he actually used it, at least on Iowa. Like if you tune that thing a certain way, it sounds exactly like Iowa.
You will get that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Mad respect, R.I.P. for that dude and how good a player he was.
Oh, dude, yeah. Unbelievable. And an innovator, because that was like 13 by 8, or I know there was one that was I think 6.5 as well, like but 13 around it's just crazy, just a really weird dimension for sure.
I actually, when I got the kit that I play now, the Mapex, it came with like a stock snare, but so I didn't order it directly from Mapex. I got it through Reverb for a steep discount. It was still fucking like $1,100 because it was still brand new. But it, like, if you ordered it directly from them, you got to pick the snare that came with it. And I I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that when I ordered it. So I kind of missed out, and I just got like the stock like steel snare. And I was like, this is cool, but I already have a steel snare, and I don't really want another one. Like my everyday snare is a Superphonic, and it's like chrome over brass, the whole 9 yards. It's also pitted to death. I've had it since me and Mike were in the stakeouts. I bought it from oh shit, what's that place called?
Bernunzio's?
No, the guitar place in Rochester.
House of Guitars.
Yeah, I got it from House of Guitars.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, that's how long I've had that snare.
That's like 14 years now. Wow.
But I couldn't get rid of it. It sounds too good. Like it tunes up too easy. It's even a little out of round now, and it still sounds really good.
Is that the one you had at Short Finger in Kitchener?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember that snare, and I remember like you were like, "Oh, dude, it's pretty beat up," and it sounded like tits.
That's exactly the problem. As I was like, man, I really want like it's like pitted and it's like patinaing around different like pits, which I mean I guess it looks kind of cool. Pork Pie makes a whole snare that's like just patina, whatever raw. You can't see me, but I made the jack off hand motion. Well, I don't know. It's over time. It's actually like it has actually kind of like dried out sonically a little, and like I don't know. It sounds too good that I just warp a bunch of heads into it, and like it's not super fucked up. Like it's maybe just like 2 millimeters short of out of round, but it's just enough that I notice it every time I tune it. Where I'm like, oh yeah, this side always falls out.
Yeah,
especially if we're driving through Arizona and it's been hot as shit in the van for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing about gear, though, man. Is sometimes, it just sounds better with age, like beat up or not, And I don't really get it, but yeah, if it ain't broke, or if it is broke but it sounds sweet, then don't fix it, I guess.
Yeah, like many times I've thought about going to get like either I don't know, the idea of spending $800 for Black Beauties.
Nah, fuck that.
I ain't that good.
Dude, but like, I mean, I'm sure that you are, but like that's just way too much money for the gear that's out there, man. I mean, I got a Pearl Sensitone. Now, gear's a little more expensive up here. Well, but I got a Pearl.
Do love that stuff, though.
Yeah, it's like a 14 by 6.5. I think I got it for like $350, and it sounds great. It has no business sounding great, but it does. So like, why the fuck would I go and drop like $800, $1,000, which up here would be like 12, 14, for something that sounds maybe better, but still in the ballpark, Is
the Sensitone the floaty one? Where like the there's no like bottom hoop or whatever.
No,
like the you know what I'm talking about, like the free floating snare thing.
Yeah, no, it's I don't believe it's free floating though. It's just a steel snare that Pearl put out for super cheap.
Oh, okay. Wait, I do think I know which one. This is like the one that sort of competes with like the Acrolite, except it's steel and not aluminum.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Ludwig Acrolite's also very good. Pearl Sensitone's also very good.
Yeah, it's crazy that I don't know. There's a lot of gear that if you just tune it up, I'm not like saying go and buy the cheapest thing ever and throw a good head on it or anything like that. Although I'm sure even that sounds better than it would if you didn't throw a good head on it. I don't know, but I mean, there's got to be a line, man. Some shit is just way too much money for not all that much value.
Oh, there's a line, and I can tell you where it is. So over the years, over many, many years of doing these house shows, people will inexplicably leave us with random amounts of gear. And somebody, I don't know who it was, left a first act snare It was like a 14 by maybe 5, like just short of being like a piccolo. And I was like, this is weird. But I was teaching at the time, and I needed I had 2 kids that were back in my parents' neighborhood, and I was like, I can't haul my kit here every single week. So I talked to my parents. I was like, they want to do it here. They don't want to drive into the city. It's fair. It's long enough. I did that commute for many, many years when I worked in the restaurant. And so I set up a kit in my parents' basement for the first time in 14 years. And I was like, well, the 2 kids were 7 and 9 years old, or 7 and 10 years old, whatever. And someone had left that snare. So I threw a good head on it, and I tried my damnedest, and it still sounded like garbage. I don't know what that wood is, but I don't think it's actually wood. I think it's just like
particle board or some shit.
Yeah, like something that you'd make a garbage can out of.
Ugh. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about drums, but like I think any like working musician has like a threshold of like the things they like as far as the tones they get out of it, how it feels to play, whether it's drums or guitars or amps, the cabinets. Like you kind of have to have a balance of like, this is like good stuff, like decent gear to play on, but also I need to be able to fix it. So like with amps, you could get like, you know, the $3,000 amp from the 80s that's all tubes, or you can get like an SVT that is probably not going to sound as good, but if something happens to it, you're only out like, you know, repair fee or like $300 or $400 to get another used one. Like that's like, I think a working threshold to consider, just like what sounds good enough, what sounds like me, and like, what can I fix?
Yeah, well, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, do you guys have live gear that's, you know, maybe not as nice as your home gear? Like, how do you guys do that? No, you just kind of roll with it?
Bring it all.
Yeah.
We got it. We paid for it. Let's go use it. I have like a Fender American P bass, and I only have one bass. I have that, and I have a practice like Mexican P bass. It's basically the same. I let somebody borrow it just because I love playing my one bass so much. So, and then I've had a couple SVT, the Ampeg. I had a 3 and a 7, and yeah, they're really reliable amps. I think that's really important for like touring. Just reliable electronic stuff is just so key. So Ampeg SVTs, they work.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong, eh?
I think so, eh?
Yeah, I had to throw an A in there, and I'm glad you threw one right back at me. That's fantastic. I was gonna do the rig rundown a little later, but we might as well keep going on with it now. Tyler, what are you playing, man?
So I'm doing right now. I got a Mapex Armory, and I do have a weird mix of cymbals right now. I used to be a hardcore Zildjian guy, and now I'm a mixed Zildjian Sabian guy. So it's Mapex Armory 12, 16, 22 Ludwig Superphonic 14-inch snare, 18-inch. I should start from the left. I got a huge discount on some like old Z hats. So I have like actual like Z custom hi-hats, 14 inches, an 18-inch Sabian AA raw bell, and a 19-inch Zildjian Sabian AAX raw bell, a 20-inch Zildjian medium ride, and a 19-inch Sabian Holy China.
Nice.
And Tama Speed Cobras that I've modified.
How do you like the Speed Cobras?
I can never go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that from a couple of guys, man.
I feel like once you go to the longboard, so I also have a tiny kit. I made like a bop kit out of my very, very old Ludwig accent, and the extra pieces that I had, like the 14-inch floor tom and the 10-inch rack tom from the armory. So I've just turned it into a bop kit, and I just play like a bunch of broken cymbals, and like I used to have the A custom hi-hats. So I turned it into this tiny kit with a bunch of like bonus cymbals and extra garbage. And so I never moved the Speed Cobras to that kit. I just play my old Iron Cobras. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh man, how did I ever play drums? What?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was an Iron Cobra guy for years. And this is actually a way I saved money. I switched to Mapex Armories because I couldn't justify buying another set of Iron Cobras. And I play with wooden mallets. So when I threw the wood mallets on the Mapex Armories, they felt almost identical to my Iron Cobras.
The low bop?
What's that?
Is it the low bop wooden beaters?
No, I think they're Dan Bar. I've had them, oh God, like I want to say 20 years, man. So I don't remember, but I think they're Dan Bar. Pretty sure. I haven't been able to find any that feel the same. No, they're just like the not quite egg shaped, like but yeah, exactly. I haven't been able to find a second set. Like I found another set that was close, but I think I'm pretty sure they're Tamas or something, and they just don't feel, the weight is totally different.
That's interesting. The weight on the beaters thing is a huge deal. So I actually bought the Speed Cobras that I bought were the 310s, but I just gutted the like nice Iron Cobras that I had to, like, I took the spring out and I took like the action for the cams. I just took everything that was like, it's all transferable, which is nice. Looking at you, DW.
Fuck every other company, man. Except for Pearl. Pearl used to have the eliminators where you could like swap out the cams and all that stuff. That was that was cool. I did like that. I thought about getting one of those. I thought about getting like a Demonator, but I hate the weight in that pedal so much. Yeah, dude. I figure we could we could talk drum gear all day, but we'd be leaving Mike out, and I don't want to do that.
It's okay.
What I should do is take the quick commercial break though and show some love to the sponsors, but we will be right back right after this. Today's episode of The Walk Show is brought to you in part by Rock Sparrow. Rock Sparrow brings artists and brands to life through quality merchandise. They help entrepreneurs, artists, and brands with online merch solutions, taking the guesswork out of merchandising your brand by managing your every need, and all with real people. Speaking of real people, I've known the creators of Rock Sparrow for years, and I can tell you firsthand, these people genuinely care about what they do for their clients and their community. There's even a store there set up for The Walk Show. Check out what they're up to at rocksparrow.ca. If you want to join up like I did, send them an email at info@rocksparrow.ca. And if you want to check out my Rock Sparrow merch, it's at The Walk Show. That's WOK.rocksparrow.ca. Again, that's thewalkshow.rocksparrow.ca. In any case, if you want to help out The Walk Show, please let them know that I sent you. Hey, business owners. Wouldn't it be cool if I was taking this time to talk about your product or service? I've enjoyed building relationships with some very cool companies since I started this thing, and I am looking to expand the Walk Show family. I work with some great sponsors, and I've sponsored events through the podcast, so I do understand how valuable time and resources can be. If you have any interest or questions about working with the show, hit me up at thewalkshow thewalkshow@gmail.com. Again, that's thewalkshow, WOK, @gmail.com. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show. And we're back. And on the break, we were just talking about the show that we met at, which was at Short Finger, put on by the guys at Pink Lemonade. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you link up with the Pink Lemonade guys?
I was working on a Canadian tour. Like, us being in Buffalo and us being American bands, we have a much easier time coming over the border than Canadian bands do coming down. I feel very bad about it, but you guys are so polite and you take us in anyways. But I came across Pink Lemonade doing research about like areas close to Toronto. Cause like you mentioned Canadian touring earlier and how difficult it can be if you want to make tracks. But we like to do pretty condensed tours, like weekend to weekend usually. So either we do like 4 days in Toronto, 4 to 5 days in Ontario, and then do like 3 or 4 days in Quebec. And I just did some research. I found Kitchener's like music scene, music pages, and Pink Lemonade was doing all these shows. And so I just bugged them on everything I could, like Facebook, Instagram. I emailed them. And then I think Scott got back to me and he was like, yeah, you should hit up the brewery, Short Finger. And then Rob got back to me right away. So I kind of brokered that a little bit for that show. I know they'd worked together before, but like Rob and Scott and Zach made that all happen. And we just hit it off and we just cuddled a lot, smoked some weed and had a good time all together. And they keep inviting us back. It's awesome.
Yeah, that rules. And yeah, it rules that you guys just pop up to Canada for like a one-off or a weekend. Yeah, that's so cool. Because, yeah, you guys definitely are the other side of the border, but it's really not that far, right?
No. we would do that drive just to get to the duty free.
Nice. And you guys don't have any real issues at the border coming into Canada? I've heard some horror stories from Americans coming here too, though. I have.
It might be harder now, but everyone in our band has a clean like driving record, no like DUIs or criminal record. So like if you have that is a red flag for them. Like we've heard of bands, getting turned around or busted for having weed that wasn't Canadian. Which
is funny because it's also legal in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't. We can't cross pollinate our stuff.
It's a big part of our economy, man. You got to be if you're gonna spend money on weed, yeah, it's got to be our weed. God damn it.
Yeah, it might be harder now with like all the tariffs and bullshit that's going on between our countries, but that keeps getting suspended, so I don't think it really matters. But we are working with this band Among Legends who have Sarah and Mitchell. I think they live in Kitchener. So like Sarah would always put us up after shows either in Kitchener or Toronto. And we're helping them come down to play the States. So we're going to be helping a Canadian band, Among Legends. They're going to come play Buffalo in October. And they're doing the whole shebang. They're applying for the visa. They have to book shows. They have to go through the government and pay a bunch of money. That is not something American bands have to do. So, people down here talk about how the Canadian dollar doesn't stretch as far, but like having to, spend so much money to come down and tour in the first place, like it's really an unfair advantage for us. Like, we sympathize with the Canadian bands and we hope it gets easier in time.
Well, I don't know that it will, but I also don't know that it's it's not a new thing. I mean, the whole visa thing, like it's always been like that, right? Like you get a P2, and you jump through a million hoops, and you have to book shows like really far in advance. Like I don't know a ton about it because my band leader kind of does it for us. And it's amazing that she goes through all that nonsense, but thankfully I don't have to. But yeah, it is a whole to do for sure.
Among
I learned
Legends,
a little bit about it from the England trip and having to be legit going over there.
yeah, we're gonna need a sponsorship visa to go play over in the UK. And then everyone that enters the UK needs to do like a second or like an official like visa kind of thing before you even come in. Yeah. So we're learning a lot as we go here. With Among Legends, they asked us to book them a show in October, and then that has to be applied for their visa or whatever their like P2 document is, and then they're asking us to do a show in like July of like next year, because you have to have like this window that you're going to come and tour, because you're paying yay much money for a certain window, I guess. And yeah, that's a lot of planning. That's a lot of hard work and expenses to play a bunch of bad shows.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot for sure. And I don't know like the logistics, but I know for us, like we had to be unionized and all that stuff too. So there's like a whole thing. And I used to do it like back in the day in my metal band too, but again, I didn't have to handle any of the business. So, I basically just got drunk and, sometimes peed in fridges and just got in the van and played drums, man. It was all right.
Hell yeah.
It's the life, baby.
I have to ask, how did you come up with the band name?
You ever read the comic book or see the movie The Watchmen?
Yeah. Well, I saw the movie.
I highly recommend the comic book. Some things are different. There's a whole scene where all of the heroes, or quote unquote heroes, are talking about like the nuclear possibilities of everything, and at some point in time in this whole conversation, the comedian lights the map on fire that has all like the nuclear hotspots on it, and the line is, Ozymandias, when all the nukes fly, you'll be the smartest man on the Cinder.
Very cool.
Yeah. That was a good reference. We're all kind of nerdy. We all have like, our own little niche things that we're into. And we were all like marathon watching the movie together. So like that came up, and I don't know who picked that out, but it was cool.
It was part of a 900 some odd long message thread of terrible other band names.
I would love to see that.
Somehow this was the best.
I would love to read like some of those ideas. I have no memory of any of them, but like I'd love to go back and know what we could have done, what would have worked better. I don't know. But on the Cinder, it's hard to say to people. Anytime you say it to someone the first time, they're like, "What?" On the Cinder, it's kind of tough. But
it was, when you sound like me, it's even worse. People are like, "Oh, I'm in On the Cinder. I'm the singer. What do you do?" I'm like, no, stop. I can't have been drinking that much. It's called On the Cinder. And they're like, "How is it spelled?" I'm like, "With all the letters that you think it takes." What do you mean?
Yeah, you tell me. You tell me how it's spelled, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we've gotten every variation of that. We've been just the Cinder. We've been Cinders on the cider, of course.
That's not even a dig at the reboot. That has happened multiple times.
Dude, that's that's awesome, man. I mean, well, also like on the side, or it's just like you're partying, you know?
Yeah, if we could find a cidery to like do a short run for us with like a fun label, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, I wonder if
I would
Short
totally
Finger
be
might
on
be
the
able to hook that up.
I would be
Rob,
on the
listen.
cider for one day if we could hook it up with a cider release.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, anyone out there in listener land that can hook that up, make that happen. That'd be awesome.
We'll come play your brewery for some money. Not a lot, some money. And yeah, that'd be cool.
Perfect.
Our crowd likes to drink a lot.
I'm going to ask the question that I do get a lot of side eye from, so, bear with me for a second here. But for anyone out there in listener land that has not heard the band, how would you describe your sound?
Very Buffalo. It's just it's just got a lot of diversity like within it. We play with a lot of dynamics within the music. We get skate punk, we get melodic hardcore. If we're playing a hardcore show, we're the pop punk band. If we're playing a pop punk show, we're the hardcore band. 2 singers, a crazy ass drummer, just taking on the world.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love that, that you mentioned, when you play like one kind of show, you're this band, and that kind of show, you're that band. Because I think that's really the telltale that you're flying your own flag, I know in some markets here, like particularly Toronto, and I don't want to throw shade at Toronto, but anytime I played there with my old band, who used to kind of be, like if we played with doom metal bands, we were like a pop band. But if we played with regular metal bands, they thought we were a doom band. And I always took that as a compliment because it's like, well, that just means we're doing our own thing. Particularly in markets where there's more of a sort of purist bent, like everything's a subgenre of a subgenre. You know what I mean?
I think that we've always felt the same way about that, where it's like, and I think that like in the stuff, the newer things that were like are unreleased currently, we've sort of leaned into the idea of like, why not do both? Like, why not actually do both? And like, you can encapsulate, like, as long as you like the sound, let everyone eat, and then ideally the crowds get bigger, and you create sort of like, in a weird way, you are sort of creating what like Buffalo is, like this weird like mini metropolitan area that is like extremely diverse and very like tasteful in most of the things that it does, to be like, it's not the mass production of New York City. Fuck that place, by the way. But
Shots fired.
I'll shoot hard.
Nice.
But there's a like it still comes from a very genuine place, but it like, you don't have to be, you should never have to be a band that decides their sound within the first month that they're playing. And they're like, we're just going to be a hardcore band, or we're going to be a bunch of tough guys, or we're going to be a pop punk band, and we're going to sing about pizza and bullshit. like you can find the middle ground in everything, and you can be very hard, like very heavy and very like heartfelt, like bands like Touche Amore and shit.
That's cool.
It's like, it's very much out there to be like, find the middle. Like Touche Amore always sounds extremely heavy unless you literally read their lyrics, and they're like, it is still extreme. Like Stage 4 is a fucking absolute heart ripping out album in terms of how sad it is, but like technically it's a concept album. That seems so cheap to call it that, but like, if you put like if you put like a pop punk actual sound behind it, it would sound totally terrible. It would be fundamentally awful. As bad, if not worse, than Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco. Fuck those bands too.
All right. Well, fucking tell us how you really feel. No, there's something cool about
now
that.
I'm shooting. I mean,
Yeah, there's something cool about that juxtaposition of just like really sad but also really angry. I think of a band like Taken back in the day where it's just like, it makes you, it rips your heart out and makes you want to just like smash shit at the same time. It's a pretty interesting feeling.
yeah, it definitely cultivates a very specific kind of, I guess maybe it's like a niche feeling to kind of key in on. But I think it, like now more than ever, especially in like the American political scene, it's a lot of, like, it seems particularly relevant that it's like a lot of people are disenfranchised in one way or another, and that works in both directions in terms of being like very sad and very angry. So I feel like it's good to sort of feed into that monster and be like, yeah, get sadder, get angrier, until we do something.
Well, there's that, and even just reaching people that also feel fucking sad and angry. I mean, I think that's sort of the beauty of music, like left, right, or center, is that, sometimes when you feel those feelings, you feel kind of isolated. You don't feel like anybody really fucking gets it. So then when you hear something that kind of relates and scratches that itch, corny as it sounds, like you just don't feel so isolated or alone,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much of our music is very angry, it's kind of layered with sadness, but it's also very like community, like driven and oriented. Like so many of our songs are about like friends and the scene we've come from and relationships, but they're not like, I was out with my girlfriend, we had a great time. Is like, how do I get this person to understand me better when I don't know myself that well? Like, that's more of like topics we approach, very like introspective things. And so we hope some things are like uplifting in our music, but we definitely say things in gruff, angry ways.
Well, you definitely have a very interesting sound. I mean, I would say, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of any bands that I think you sound like. And you could pick like 20 bands where you're like, there's bits of this and bits of that, but just like everything kind of, and again, to use the old cliche, like in the blender, right? Like just, and it's very cool. Like it's a really interesting listen.
Oh, thank you. We've been inspired by like a lot of melodic hardcore bands, like Wilhelm Scream has been a big one, but we're also a 3-piece, so we're not like 5 guys with 2 shredding guitar players. So sometimes it's like we have room to do more melodic oriented songs that a 3-piece pulls off, like an Alkaline Trio, like a Lawrence Arms, but we're still doing that like skate punk or like melodic hardcore or just hardcore influenced stuff with what we've got, the 3 of us.
It's very cool, man. I get into the point of the show where I probably should start winding down, although I really don't want to, but every episode I ask the listeners a question. I like to get my guest take as well. So today's listener question is, what is your favorite decade for pop culture?
I want Ty to go first.
I think that this is multifaceted in a certain way. I think that the 80s the 80s compete so hard in terms of movies and music. And I think that the 80s and 90s also have like tremendous downfalls in both of those things. which makes it very weird to try to pick one because I think that it makes it so available for criticism. For every Nirvana, you have Papa Roach, and like, not that every Papa Roach song is bad. I guess I could go with like Hoobastank or something. Hoobastank has one good song, "Crawling in the Dark," amazing.
Hell yeah!
But like, I don't know. I grew up in the '90s. I can't go past the 90s. Everything just got worse.
That's awesome. So 90s was peak.
Like to call it peak, it just got very like volatile between like 1983 and 1999. Where it was like the greatest shit in the world was happening, but people didn't really recognize it. Like, even like pop music, like Michael Jackson, happening. But then also, you know, Hoobastank and Britney Spears and the weird like boy band era. That's fucking weird. Why did we do that? I guess some things never die if you listen to any like K-pop. But
yeah,
Ty's response is very like classic on the Cinder discussions because we are so like we're generally nice people and we like to hang out and just be friends with everyone at shows and in our scene. But we do tend to stray to the negative when we're making a point. Like I'm doing the same thing. I'm thinking like, oh man, like maybe the 60s, because that's when like pop culture kind of got started with like things like the Beatles and Elvis was still going and like the hippie movement and like so much like innovation and art in that time. But also like, you know, bad things happened at like Woodstock and, you know, there were horrible like racial tensions in our country and like just
different from today.
Right. We had a racist president in the 60s. We had presidents killed in the 60s. It's so tough to say. I'll cop out and also say 90s just because that's the fun times. That's there wasn't really much war going on, which was nice. There was the Gulf War, but that was kind of over by 91. And like it's been a proxy war every 2 months probably, but like I don't know. We had Bill Clinton as a president. He was a pop icon himself, like playing saxophone and hanging out with his interns, being a cool dude.
And I want to give huge props to like 80s movies for what they were able to do. And like by the late 90s, like CGI in the worst way was starting to take over for budget constraints. And by budget constraints, I mean it would make everybody more money. And physical props are just so much cooler, and I feel like they had so much character to the movies at that point. Plus, like Rodney Dangerfield was still alive,
even though he got no respect, right?
Well, he is now.
Yeah,
Caddyshack, one of my favorite movies. Actually, Caddyshack, you watch it on TV, and they cut the very last scene of the movie, which is Rodney Dangerfield throwing his hands up and saying, "We're all getting laid." That's how the movie ends.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely something so over the top about the 80s that it's hard not to love, even in a tongue-in-cheek kind of sense. I mean, also, I'm a huge horror movie guy, and I was born in 82, so a lot of, like, you know, like it was still, like, when you were a kid, like, taboo to watch a, like, Nightmare on Elm Street movie, so of course every kid wanted to. And then like Freddy Krueger became a pop icon. It was just it was a weird time, man, for sure.
Yes, but that's really kind of, as also a horror movie fan, I'm very much leaning into that when I like. There's a million bazillion comedies that I'm thinking of, but like the horror movie genre in the '80s was like blossoming in such a way that it really was kind of pushing the envelope from like '78 to through the '80s to just kind of like make itself a problem. And I was like, hell yeah, get worse, get weirder. And then it got too weird. And then it got way too weird.
Yeah. There's this genre of movies my wife likes to call weird 80s movies, like Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal. I love both of those movies. They would never be made now. They tried to do a Dark Crystal like prequel show on Netflix, and it was pretty bad. They did
do like the practical stuff for it though, didn't they? Still do like the puppets for the Dark Crystal series?
They did, but they had to like start from scratch because the whole premise of the movie is that like it's a post-apocalypse or like end of the world sort of setting, and these two cultures have to meet to like, you know, save the world. And you have to write this whole backstory about like how, you know, how the world gets fucked up. And I don't know, it was way too convoluted, but like, I love weird 80s movies. I don't know if they have a genre, like fantastical, sometimes horror. But like, yeah, maybe we're sliding into the 80s because yeah, that definitely bled into the 90s.
I feel like the 80s, especially with movies, had a great era of like innovation where people were very willing to push the envelope and audiences were ready for the envelope to be pushed, as opposed to like when you get into the 90s and it's like the envelope has been pushed and now everyone sort of expects it. And then this is where we begin the dark crawl into the, well, I'm going to make a snuff film.
There was also a part of the 90s that felt like kind of an overcorrection where like if the 80s was, I don't know, fantastical and you know, there was that whole sort of surreal subgenre, which I think was, you know, a lot of horror, but also even like something like The Neverending Story, like, you know, was definitely in that surreal camp. And then the 90s almost had this, like, we got to strip everything down and everything's kind of bleak. And, you know, a lot of, like, alternative rock and shit was, well, you know, like Nirvana, where they're, you know, 3-piece, kind of 4 at the end. But, like, just stripped down rock. Got rid of the kind of drum machine thing. You know, I don't know. There's just a bit more of a bleak vibe, I guess, to the 90s. Or at least part of it. Like there at the beginning of the 90s, I think a lot of people forget about like the CNC music factories of the world and like, you know, Vanilla Ice and that kind of shit, right?
This is a great thing to bring up to shit on the 90s.
Like there was a lot of cheese, man. A lot of fucking fluorescent parachute pants and shit.
See, Derek, we're rubbing off on you.
What's that?
The Macarena.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're rubbing off on you, dude. Like, you know, we're talking about things we're supposed to like. It's like, oh wow, it's so easy to like make excuses for why it wasn't that great because there was a bunch of shitty things too.
Yeah.
But that's what's fun to talk about though. Like, you know, who likes to be happy all the time? Let's talk about things, you know.
Well, it's just
everyone knows the good stuff.
Well, that and like people tend to kind of, well, I mean, there's only so much time in the day, so people tend to kind of get reductionist about certain things. But like, if I were to say the 90s, I think people would instantly go to like, you know, Nirvana or, you know, alternative rock. But there was a whole other, well, there were many other parts. So it's fun to bring those up too, right? Like it's, you know, the 80s, people think about like a lot of cheesy, over the top production and quote unquote like bad pop music, but there was a lot of great over the top pop music like Tears for Fears, like I like to get into those nooks and crannies that people kind of maybe don't talk about so much.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys balance your music with your personal lives? Or do you? Is it just chaos?
Alcohol.
Just planning. Like planning and communication are everything. Like I have a family, and I always have to make arrangements back home for tours and for festivals, and like, booking tours like 6 months out is important. Gives you time for like everyone to understand what's going on, like what the plan is. You work with things back home just so everything's secure while you're away. We text all the time. I text them probably too much. Like they've been moving, and I'm like, oh, we got offered a show in Rochester. Like, oh, we gotta we're doing a podcast with Derek and like. So I probably over communicate, which might be annoying, but like the guys are they give me some grace.
Communicating.
Yeah, they give me a little bit of grace because we get to do cool stuff sometimes, and like it's awesome when it all works out.
Hell yeah! What about you, Tyler?
Well,
other than alcohol, sorry.
I do have, and Jay would be able to sort of reciprocate this because he's been able to do it longer than I have. But about a year and a half ago, I was able to get a work from home job, which turns into a work from the road job. And that is pretty nice to be able to, when we just did Texas and Florida, last whenever that was, it seems like an eternity at this point, but it was probably
right
ago.
January?
4 months ago.
I forget. I don't know.
I think it was January or February.
Yeah.
Well, like me and Jay both wrapped up work at the same time in a bar in Miami. And I was like, well, it's 5:00. Close the laptop. Go to the beach, get a Cuban, whatever. And it's like when I worked at the restaurant, those were just lost days. So being able to work from the road is, for me, a substantial upgrade. And now I have like weird regular people benefit things. Like I have paid time off, which is a concept that I still don't completely understand.
Dude, take it, man. Take it for all it's worth.
Yeah. And so now I'm just not going to work during the England trip. And then they're just going to give me money, I guess.
Yeah. So we've been doing this for 12 years now, and we had a lot of years of just eating it, like road dogs, losing money, playing anywhere we could for anybody. And I feel like we've gotten to a point where just our band is strong enough and has a decent enough name that like we have shows that support our tours, and we have like a base of people that will help us, put records out and kind of validate like releases, and also just the security of the guys being able to work from home. And like I have a great support network at home that my family's taking care of, and it's just time with us. Like we all have things we love to do, and the band is one of them for sure. And it's just finding balance with everything in life. So it's like, it's still fun, and you're not losing too much money. Like our tours have gone so well, and like, we've made money like for a while now, which is cool. Not like to live off of, but everything pays for itself. And it's just from years of working it and just being friends and building a network of, people who care for you and you care for them back, you know.
And that's a huge win, man. I feel like a lot of people, and I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of people that maybe aren't musicians don't realize how amazing it is when a tour breaks even. You know what I mean? Like, you're not taking a huge loss every time you go out there.
Yeah, like we did a fly out tour for Florida and Texas, and I think we made enough that I think it paid off our flights, like, which was really nice.
I think we made enough that it paid off the flights and the rental.
Yeah, it was.
And then there was like $300 left.
Yeah. Yeah, right into the band account. And, you know, that feels really good because, like, we sold a bunch of merch and we played a cool festival and we got to see people we don't get to see all the time. And it's important, you know, for us to get back to certain places, even if they're kind of far away. Like, we find ways to make it work and, you know, just keep getting back to those people while, you know, playing to new people, making a stronger network of, you know, friends that, you know, are into what we're doing.
That's huge, man. That's awesome. We talked about it a little bit, but just to go into any more depth or cover anything we missed, what's on the docket for you guys this year?
We just had the 1 year anniversary of our latest album, Heavy Handed, come out. It was like the strongest album as far as streaming goes within that amount of time. We have sold a bunch of copies. Like, I think the album is pretty much paid off at this point, and we still have half the pressing to go. And just keep pushing it. We're bringing it over to the UK for the first time. We have a promoter that we're working with, and they have some distribution stuff going on that hopefully we can make a deal happen so that our records can stay in England and get kind of moved around there. And just, we have we have 5 songs demoed and more we've gotten to writing, and working on the plan for the release will be interesting, but we have some more songs to write, and just deciding what the next release will be is something we'll bounce around. But we've been playing some of the new songs live already, which is fun. Everyone always wants to play their new stuff, right? But, you know, you still have an album to promote, and just the media cycle of releasing an album fucking sucks.
Just for giggles, what do you think conceptually about what is functionally a 2-sided 12-inch? So like they are functionally different records with different sounds, but they just exist on the opposite side of the same record.
What do I think of that, or what?
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
It's
I think it's a great
cool.
idea. Yeah, because it's kind of like a split, but it's yeah,
like a double EP kind of thing. But it was on a 12-inch. That's something we're kind of bouncing around. We just need to make we have one side of that done, and the other side is just going to be either all over the place, complete chaos, or we're still refining what that theme or what that batch will be like. So it's, we've been a band so long. We've had 3 full-length albums, and just finding ways to keep releasing things in a fresh way is part of the creativity side. It's art, right? So I'm excited to see what the hell we're going to do next.
that's awesome. Yeah, and it's, well, when you have a band like yours where there are, multiple dynamics and, different styles, and it's interesting. Well, I guess that's just it. It remains interesting as you go, because you can draw from different wells, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it's very cool. Anybody you want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to?
Ugh.
Oh Lord.
Jason, our guitar player, who's not here because I don't know, he's on the toilet. The Pink Lemonade, Short Finger Brewing, love those guys. The band Among Legends, definitely check them out. They're out of Kitchener, but they play Toronto, and I'm sure they play Guelph, and they're around a bunch.
All the old homies who helped us out for so many years. Mike Terry, Bobby Edge, Jukebox Romantics, OC45. Oh Jesus, there are so many bands in there. Noogie for helping out so much in Texas.
It's like an Oscar acceptance speech now.
Yeah, Jesus, this is there's like 18 billion people that it's you get put on the spot, and then just you go like white brained.
Yes.
People.
Yeah. You can check out our album on Spotify. The album's called Heavy Handed. We got a bunch of the videos on YouTube for different songs, and we got what's the thing the kids use? TikTok.
You guys are on TikTok, yeah?
Yeah, I don't do any like dances or anything. I would get kicked out of the band if I did the Macarena to one of our songs.
You would. It's true. It was a contingency on getting a TikTok.
Yeah. For I don't know when this comes out, Derek. What's the delay on this?
This comes out, bear with me for a second here, June 15th on Patreon, 16th on Hypernova Radio, 17th on other podcast platforms.
Well, the Ghost of Future Past, that everyone going to Pooza Fest has a great time this weekend, and we'd love to hear the stories in the future.
Yes, please tell me your Pooza stories. They're always fantastic.
Awesome. And how else can people check you out online? You cut out a little bit there, but we got YouTube and Spotify, TikTok. Where else?
Oh, you can get our record from Steady Riot Records. You can find them on Instagram. They have their own store, which I think is just steadyriotrecords.com. It's run by our friends at Among Legends. They have all the color variants still, I think, but they have sold a handful, so I'm not sure what they have left. But Steady Riot Records for Canada.
Do you know what they're the lowest on?
I don't know. I do want to do a count and see. We did 5 colors in this pressing, and I want to nerd out and like count them all up just because I have bad OCD, so that kind of thing I love.
We usually have like inside band bets on what record is going to sell the most because we think it looks the coolest. So it's all just personal preference. And then we used to put a 40 down, but like don't drink no more. So
yeah, I was too good at it.
But see, that's a fun conversation to have, like the over-unders, and yeah, it's good stuff. You guys on Facebook and Instagram, all that good stuff?
Oh yeah. What aren't we on? We're not on MySpace. Don't look there.
Are we on Twitter?
No, we had a Twitter, but like all that X.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, fuck that. Find Tyler on Hinge.
I'm available on Hinge and Bumble.
That's probably enough.
Fair enough. Let's see. The last thing I do is spin 2 tunes. First up is On the Cinder with Smells Like American Spirit, followed by today's double feature preacher artist, The Lizard People, with Too Much for Two. Guys, thanks so much for your time. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Derek. It's good to see you again. Our first time hanging out was you doing sound in sub-zero temperatures. It was sunny, but it was still snowing. I don't know how Canada works, but it's always fun to come up, and hopefully we'll be back in Canada soon.
Hell yeah. Well, it'd be good to see you again, and at a time where I'm not chained to a tablet.
Yeah. Cheers, bud.
Awesome. Well, to the listeners, thank you so much for your time. Catch you next time.
Pay a 5 at the door!